Good morning, January the 25th. Today, as always, I'm going to start on the higher time frame, work my way down. I'm going to look at the current trade setups, look for new trade setups, think about managing my trades, and then I'm gonna think a little bit about how to manage my system. Specifically, what I'm interested in is so I'm thinking like a professional gambler, right? I'm a professional gambler. Now, I was thinking before, I just want to maximize my annual ROI, but I think I actually want a smoother equity curve. And I want a smoother equity curve for my own psychology, and also especially when and if I'm supporting a family, it's important to have a smoother equity curve and not have these big drawdown months. And there's a couple ways to do that. One way is to increase trade frequency, which I'm doing. Another way is to do partial profit taking, which is something that I'm now considering a little bit. I think there's times to identify when a market is trending and you can just pile on. There's also times to identify when we're likely to range for a bit. After that breakout, like it made sense to trend, but where we are currently, it's probably made sense to and has worked better to take quick profits. I've had a number of small positions that or positions that went 1 to 2 R in my favor and just came back. I haven't really got anywhere yet, although my entries have been good. So that's just something that I'm considering. So on the 2 year, which is the highest time frame chart here, we can see there's more liquidity higher than lower, but this 15K region is getting hotter. There's still on the 2 year a pretty big void underneath the current move, which is good for the bulls, but when we go to a lower time frame, this doesn't necessarily hold true. So we see a little hot spot at 48, but after we take 25.6, when and if there's not that much fuel necessarily. Now, I'm thinking about Bitcoin primarily as a liquidation engine, which HY block is quite useful for. However, it could be that spot buying comes in and the macro changes and we just go up higher, but we will see. We will see. I kind of expect higher prices, but how we get there is interesting. Now, in the 6 month, we're still seeing a lot of heat above us. It probably makes sense to go higher, up towards 26. Um, yeah, we're seeing underneath the current lows some heat. Now, if we go to the 3 month gets a little less obvious, where at least on the 3 month, we've taken most everything. There is that little piece at 25, but the hottest areas on the chart are under the current lows. And it looks like something is starting to form, especially on Bybit. Actually, the hottest area now is 19.2 locally. So I think it might make sense to range for a bit more and build a little bit more liquidity. We go in the 1 month now, the hot spot is at 19,000 on Bybit. That is the hottest spot. There's liquidity above the current highs, and perhaps we go up there. And especially when we look at the higher time frame, it's something that we need to pay attention to. But um, also on Binance, there's a lot of liquidity that's built at the lows of this Bitcoin range and underneath the old range. And there's a lot of heat down at 16.8. Now, doesn't mean we have to go there, but it's just something I'm paying attention to of potential targets. 7 day, like, yeah, we've been in a range. It's hot on either side. We could break either way, and we could break both ways. We go one way and then we go the other way. Okay. Especially Bitcoin has been in a little bit of a tighter range than Ethereum, for instance. Okay. 12 hours, um, a spurt higher would make sense probably. Okay. Now, let's go into the chart. I'm not going to look at my equity. I haven't traded in a while. The month's fucking sucks. I'm writing it off. And this was an opportunity, a building a building month where I learn new setups and developing my system. So let's start on okay, we have my high time frame, Bitcoin and ETH. So let's turn everything off and zoom out on the daily. Actually, before we go to Bitcoin, I want to just quickly check on the equities, which are moving up, and the dollar, which is continuing to move down. Clearly, we're in an uptrend. It doesn't mean we won't have pullbacks. It's just figuring out how to play to those pullbacks. Okay. High time frame. It is quite an interesting place to be stalled, though, right at this old high. But yeah, if we have a major retracement, I would be very interested to see where we go. If we would go to lower lows, that would surprise me. Going down here would be interesting, just for a quick flash crash. I would expect a higher low. Where might that be? Maybe to take out these breakout longs right into here. I don't know. I'm purely speculating. Like we could just go straight up, but I would be interested in what might happen. Now I'm gonna pull all these off. I can always back test again. Back test that line maybe. I don't know. That line is interesting. Uh, yeah. So we're on a high tight flag here in this range. These things often go higher. Let us go back over to now let's look at the Bitcoin chart. Similar story. Bitcoin, nice recovery. We saw major trendline breaks. Major trendline breaks. Should have been, yeah, I mean, now I know to pay attention to those. Those are actually really important. Didn't really understand or think. Sometimes it takes losing to kind of figure this stuff out. Now, let's throw on our indicators. First, our fair value gap indicators. Any green is support, any red is resistance in my mind. So there's a lot of support below. There's not that much resistance until we get to 26. So a lot of things are pointing towards 26 now or later. Whether we pull back first or later is not too sure. Let's look at ETH. ETH is more resistance between here and there, I suppose. Plenty of support as well. Let's throw on our daily highs and lows. And see that, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, I feel like there's a lot of liquidity under the holiday consolidation, but doesn't mean that, doesn't mean we're going to go down there, but it's just something to pay attention to. Okay. Now, for my system, let me just journal for a moment. January 25. I would like a smoother equity curve so I can plan my life more. So for instance, I would probably rather make 100K a month than 2 million once a year. So I'd give away half my money to have that consistent. Important for my psyche, if and when I'm supporting family, helps me budget. Yeah. So more trades make sense, and shorter TPs might make sense. Let's look into that. So this is something I need to study, something I haven't really studied in backtesting. And for the most part, the reason I haven't studied it in backtesting is because it's quite hard to calculate risk reward, dynamic RR. It just makes things harder, but I need to be willing to do the hard things. Just looking at the trades I've taken recently, I've had a lot of great entries that have gone into profit and then gotten out of profit. So I don't really like that. And I'm in some positions now. So we're going to evaluate them all individually. So let's start off with our long position. I'm going to turn off paper trading right now so that I can see, but you can see I'm in these positions. And as of right now, I'm up about 1%. And since I've been paper trading, which is good, I need to get up to 5% in order to pass my paper trading challenge and go back to live trading, which also makes sense because I'm trading new setups. I've never traded breakouts before and breakdowns. So these are my long positions. So I traded an inside ladder here. And I could have got a more precise entry, apparently. And I probably should have. So what I've been doing is if I have a 1 hour, a gap in the 1 hour, I will take that as my entry and enter like this. But from what I'm seeing and experiencing, it's just better to use the lower time frame. It gets these much tighter invalidations, and my risk reward on this would be really good. So if I use just the lowest 5-minute fair value gap and I get entered like this, then instead of being around break even, I'm already like a couple R in profit. So that's something I need to consider. Don't let me undo. Why? But that's not how I entered. This is how I entered. Now, from a long standpoint, okay, I'm trading inside of this. It seems fine. It's possible that we recover and we launch to these highs, and then we hit our 24. And really, I think I should keep my targets up here as this is a possible pivot, but I should just aim for the major target, which is 25,200. Yeah. But I mean, I need to think like if I keep getting chopped up and don't ever take profits and I take stops and I think my partial profit taking is going to have a lot to do with just advancing my stops because I need to also balance my time because partial profit taking, okay, I can do it with a limit order. A lot of the ways professional traders will do it is they see weakness or support resistance reaction they don't like on on a low time frame. They cut the trade. I don't really love doing that. I want to, um, yeah, it needs to be either like once a day I advance my stop, or it needs to be something of that nature. I'm just gonna advance all my long targets. I'll just play the major long target, why not? And then if I'm gonna be short, yeah, I'm going for the major short target. I don't really like my short that much. We're gonna come back and look at that though, but I'm trying as much as possible to just fucking let it happen. And there's two reasons for this. The first reason is, um, well, the main reason really is so that I can live my life and not have to baby everything. Like I want to not baby my positions as much as possible. Now, um, okay. So for the longs, I have this little breakout idea, which I quite like, but as I'm looking at these trend lines, I would like to see price sort of consolidate under here first, but I think it's fine. Like, um, just watching this trend line, if this trend line breaks, we should take all these highs and then maybe we just go to here, but I like trying for a higher. So we're gonna try this. Let's turn on paper trading again, just because I adjusted it slightly. Cancel this. I adjusted it just so slightly. Okay, stop risking 1%. Time is it now? 9:30. Probably go surf around 11. Here we are back. And then oh, maybe want to get away from taking these trades, but right here, just taking these, poke the gap, sweep the gap, entries, still is probably worth it. I think there's some edge there as long as I can hold them. So I'm satisfied with that. Let's look at my ETH longs. So same thing with Bitcoin where, okay, let me enter on this gap. But in retrospect, entering at the bottom of the 5 minutes would have given me uh, much better RR on this trade. At least for this one, it's not always true. And we'd be looking good. Well, let me replay it before then. Whack. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, yeah, it doesn't always work that way, but it often does. Um, for these longs, I actually have advanced my stop. On both of them, just ever so slightly. I've advanced my stop. Let's go back to paper trading. I keep logging in and out because it's sort of annoying. I've advanced it to here. The trend line which is also this, because if we take this, we probably take this, we probably take these, we probably go down here, and my short probably hits its target. Um, we're gonna look at this one again. So since we already poked this gap once before, I don't expect to poke the gap to work as well. So I have this sweep the gap idea where this low will be defended. So we're going to try that. Um, yeah, I'm interested. Let's work on this breakout order. I am interested in breakouts. Now, let's extend our target a little bit. Like, I feel like if we take this high, we should probably take these highs actually. That makes me like this trade that I'm sitting in. Okay, it's an 11R if we go up there. Will we get up there? I don't know, maybe. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. It feels sort of unlikely because we have a ladder of 3 here, which is vulnerable, but sometimes they build, you know. One of these is going to go, one of them is not. Eventually both will go, most likely. Overwhelmingly likely, but let's come back and look at Bitcoin stop. Same idea with this. Just right now we're just ranging on a lower time frame, building liquidity. The thing is, whichever way we move, I'm going to take stops one way or the other, especially on Bitcoin. Ethereum's gone a little bit better. Bitcoin has been a lot tighter than Ethereum. Um, so if I was doing partial profit taking, oh, we're gonna get to the shorts later. The current longs doesn't matter. There's no partial profit taking to take. It's too early. If I'm trading ETH, well, that said, like I had a long from, I don't know, not sure what the answer is. I think I'm just gonna focus on advancing my stop loss somewhat. But I think I had a long from both on ETH and Bitcoin somewhere in here. Some longs that went somewhat in profit. And then ETH I had a breakout long right here, which immediately went like a couple R, 1 to 2 R in favor, and then just slowly bled back to my entry. I think entry was right around here. I had a long here. But maybe those are just not the best setups. I don't know. So I don't think it makes sense to do because we're so close to the major short target. But a small little breakdown. Okay, we're gonna get back to that in the shorts. A breakdown short would be interesting. Okay, let's look at this breakout long idea. Where for ETH, actually, ETH likes to front run levels or just tap them more. So let's make sure that doesn't happen to us here. Okay, so this long, I would just say, yeah, if this trend line breaks, if any of these break, it becomes interesting. I would want to clear this fair value gap here. So maybe I will be conservative and take the highest one. To the top of the range is a 2.5, which is okay. So let us This, we don't need this on anymore. Broke. Yeah. There's going to be forced buying here. So if we buy here, we can expect people will buy higher. That's what it's all about. I'm not trying to buy undervalued or overvalued. I'm trying to buy before forced buying. I'm trying to sell before forced selling. Okay. Now let's move on to shorts where it might make sense to trim or get out of positions. So I have these breakdown shorts on Bitcoin, and I tried a couple and they're slightly underwater. It's not really working great. And I could keep it. What I don't like is why isn't this loading? I don't really like where my stop loss is. It should be above this trend line, not below it. That kind of makes me want to not be in this trade, but I do want to be in it just in case we break down. And I don't like we do have a possible resistance right above us too. If we take these, but then we might reject right here, but yeah, I don't really like it that much. I'm also trying to get used to just letting shit happen. Like I set the entry, but then it's like I set the entry and the breakdown failed and we're back in the range. So maybe it makes sense to get out like ETH. The breakdown happens and maybe it makes more sense. Um, you look at this, what we have is some sort of a major trend line here. This one, we lost that one. Where we bounced off it perfectly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where it might make sense to just cut this and if we lose this trend line, we should dump. And I can aim down here. I kind of like this, like with the, yeah, it doesn't, like, we didn't break down, so why am I in a breakdown short? So let me update my, ETH did break down, so it does make sense. I can just try again, trading model live. Enter on diagonal break, and at least I don't need all this. Enter right before liquidity, stop loss back in midpoint, aim for past major liquidity area. If breakout fails and price comes right back in and then consolidates, just cut the trade. Yeah, now I'm just sitting in a range with like, it doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna choose to flatten this position, close. Okay. Right or wrong, I don't know. Should I have taken some profits? I don't know, we'll see. Um, the problem with this breakdown short that I'm looking at here is that There's a lot of potential support in here. But I think it makes sense with such a major trend line here. I'm sure other traders are looking at it. Where if we come back here a third time, we should probably go down. And then if we come back into the range, I don't really want to be in the trade. And this also is something I can do with probably a pretty tight stop. Stop. Sell. But yeah, you can see, oh, if I had taken a little partial, maybe it would have been better. I don't know. Now let's look at my ETH short. I kind of like closing it and then retrying another breakdown if that happens. Because we came back into this consolidation. I got a long signal. We got a bounce. What if I just take profit on this and then trade a continuation here? I'm not interested in shorting inside this trend line. I'm not interested in shorting a retracement here. I'm interested in logging a breakout. Now, I mean, what's also interesting is probable my stop loss wasn't necessarily wide here. Just doing this would have increased the RR quite a bit. Almost doubled it. So I guess what I should have considered doing is as soon as we expanded, I could have set a limit close, like put a band of exiting here and got a better exit. But I think it probably does make sense in the interest of smoothing my equity curve. Um, I'm going to close this and I can look at, we're so close to my target anyways. I can look at another breakdown short idea. Now we realize some profit. We're in profitable longs. And if price breaks down, run my account by a little bit. Um, yeah, aiming under here seems good. Saying, hey, if we lose this trend line and take this low, I think there's going to be forced selling here. And we can try this. What would be bad would be price coming down and just nicking these levels, stopping out of the longs, and then stopping us out of the shorts. That would be quite painful. It is price action that could happen. But let's just try this. And then okay. And then maybe it makes sense to yeah, just wait for short tire. Leverage is not relevant. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll see if this was wrong. Find out later. Yeah, I guess the Bitcoin breakdown is a lot more interesting because we have farther to go. Yeah, it does make sense too. You can see on the lower time frame as well. I don't really see myself trading like this, but trading these quick breakdowns or breakouts, just scalping them. Trading this range, price spurting up here would be interesting. I guess my ideal situation would be this right now, because then I could break even these longs and then trade some nice breakouts or breakdowns. Yeah, I guess the one bad thing that could happen for me at a position like this is if price stops out my longs and triggers the breakout and then immediately comes back in, which is something that could happen. Is something that could happen. Um, Even though I didn't have the best, I could have had a much tighter entry. These are still pretty high RR trades. So even getting to the top of the range would be enough for me to go back to live trading. If we go back here, um, between all the positions, I could just close and yeah, go back to live trading. Pause for a bit. Okay, I'm back after a little break. One of the last things I did was close my short, which is good because we had a nice pump. And I'm going to take risk off my longs. So these gaps should act as support. So I'm just gonna break even my longs. Well, Bitcoin I will not break even my long. I will put it right here. But I took most of the risk out of it. And if we go up here, all we need to do is go to range highs for me to call the challenge over and go back to live trading with new trades and a new system that I really like. Mm, yeah, if we go to range highs here, then I'm past my challenge. So could happen today, or it might not. I mean, maybe we just fall back. But yeah, this inside ladder continues to be a great setup. We'll trade all of those, especially to the upside. Yeah, bullish day on equities. Looks good. Keep going. Yeah, it makes sense. If the breakdown occurs and stalls and I get a long trigger, just cut it. I If I had not, then I would have, instead of realizing $1,000 profit, I would have taken $1,000 loss. And yeah, my equity wouldn't be moving as well. So I started at 99. I just need to get to 104, which is just 2.5 away. So honestly, I think just getting to the trend line and I would go back to live trading. And yeah, like want to do 0.5% risk. The only problem with that is with how many limit orders I have, I think it should be fine. I really dislike that yeah, it should be relatively smooth equity. I really dislike that um, my risk is that my trading account is so small relative to my portfolio right now. It's less than 10% of what I have. So I really want to grow my trading account relative to my portfolio. Now, I think a thought that I'm having here is like, oh, when we broke this, I'm supposed to hold, but I closed my short early and it was good. So I think it just fucking depends. Like it's not always right. Like I need to know. I just need a better read on price action. Here we're going parabolic. I should hold. Here we're ranging. We're going more sideways, and it wasn't really working. Oh, big red coming in. That's interesting. See where we pull back to. ETH is so exaggerated in its movements. It's interesting. Break out. Breakdowns. I just want to go do my surfing now. Take these lows and go down here. Break out longs if we get there. Say, okay, if we come up here, we should. This one looks a little bit tight. Let's stop here. I guess it's okay, 1.64%. And the previous one. I mean, my ideal would be to bounce off of one of these trend lines, and then that could allow me to have a little bit tighter invalidation with how I do this. I guess I need to do a little bit of back testing, so let's do that. I don't think I've back tested this range with this system exactly. So let's do just a little bit. Paying attention to some of these things. This is a little bit challenging. Yeah, 17.1 takes forever to get there. Where, okay, I'm maybe interested in, we could try along here. It seems super fucking risky, but why not? We could try a short right here. Oh, okay, so those are my sweep into gap setups, of which it's one of my least favorites. Um, Play price action just a little bit. Okay. I'll be interested in trying a breakdown. Say this line should hold a support, and we just go to a new low. I've not yet filled. I also like the idea of a breakout long right at this high. Okay. Maybe that could be break even. Just a loss. It's getting more interesting now as it's getting tighter. For now, we can have our breakdown over here. Okay. We got filled on our long. Okay. We got a +5 here, which pays for this -1, and it pays for this -1. Yeah, the inside, kind of just like waiting for the inside trades. Okay, so speaking of, we took this level and reversed. As soon as this happens, on a lower time frame, any kind of retracement I want, and we just aim for up here at the minimum. Okay, we got it. Now we could do another inside ladder retracement. Actually, no, that one doesn't work. Sorry, not that it doesn't work, it doesn't fill. Price never comes back in here unless like a poke the gap, I think works. We could say it's so bullish. Such a, we could have a wider stop, which still has an edge in this. And then we can be interested in, I'm waiting for higher before a breakout. Let's back up here. We never got our pullback. Now that, let's wait for a little consolidation. Okay. We can try to break out here with a stop under this gap. Aiming here. It's not great. So maybe I don't like it that much. But we can try it. Okay. Depending on how we count it. Maybe a sweep in a gap would have worked better, but also whatever, I did it. Well, we're gonna try the inside one, but that works. We can try something like this. We can think about a little bit of a breakdown on lower time frames. These aren't working anymore. Still like a breakout long. Still like a long from in there. A little breakdown short maybe starts to make sense here. And having a breakout long above this line. We just take maybe this one, we should fly. Ideas here. Okay. The breakdown short worked. So this one actually I think is about to get stopped out right there. Yeah. Plus one doesn't even make sense. Plus two. I have to mark this as a -1 is fine. But we have our daily exhaustion trade. I think would have caught that maybe. Yeah, I want to get filled on something like this. Aiming for the highs. The inside, I think the inside is and breakouts are a lot better than what I was doing before. Wait, what is this? That one's a loss. Now it's also making sense though, as we go higher, like we should, I know we end up going higher, but like it makes sense that a trend should form. We should run. Okay, we got rejected at a key area, which is nice because it just adds more liquidity to this idea. And I would probably just close half in here, maybe like close a couple of the positions in there. Okay, nice breakout. The 17.1 area. Yeah, maybe we close half there. Or we just close it all. Now that we form a new range, I just close all of it and then use the winnings to finance a bigger position. So we close it around 17.1, especially after we fall back in. So we have a 3, a 7, a 2. No, this isn't anything. Plus 3, plus 7. We have a plus 8 and a plus 3. Plus 8. Plus 3. Will the sunshine coming? Nalani, come here. Okay. Now we're in this new range, right? All this stuff's irrelevant. We want to pay attention to some of these. Oops. Back to the longs. Higher. What's the low of the day right now? Is that wick right there? Oh, it's the same day. Guess it could make sense to be long. A retracement into here. I'd rather long a breakout though. If we really wanted to compound, like long right here with a stop here, but just gonna let it happen. Okay, back to my back testing. Try to close my eyes. Are we continuing to expect higher prices? Okay, we're back in this range, right? We're in this range now. An inside short would not have filled. Back up there. Have a gap. Yeah, 1% makes sense. And then we can aim for a higher target here. I don't think we go that high, but it's a reasonable idea. If there was a lower time frame, let's assume there's a lower time frame and I can go for a better entry. This. But then I think we just stop right there. No, we fall under it. Come back. We either stopped out or it makes sense if we get over here to advance our stop. So maybe we get stopped out over here or something like that. Yeah, this price action is quick. An inside short doesn't develop here. Okay, I haven't been paying attention to my trend line breaks. Back up. So there's, two ways. Like 3 taps is kind of what we want. 2, 3. So it would be along with the break of this high, with a stop inside. Ideally, we would aim higher, although it doesn't really work that well. Short would be just into here. It's like not much, but something. Okay, so we do get the long filled. Comes right back though. But I mean, just taking a +2 to the top of the range would be fine. just say, hey, okay, price rejects. Let's take our +3 and +2. Okay. So let's back up. As this trend line develops, if it breaks, yes, I think we want to see one small bounce first, and then we short that one. An inside short also makes sense here if we get it, which I think we do. Just down to here. Something like this. Back up. Well, that one didn't quite hit target and stop this out. So inside short. This one. Guess just poking the gap would have worked a little bit better. And also like a tighter stop also would have worked, but oh well. We're in this short. If we get stopped out here, I kind of want to long the breakout up to 1,200. I don't remember what happens here. Don't think we go lower actually, but it makes sense to try. Makes sense to try, but all this liquidity in here. Aim for these lows. Okay. Which I don't think we get, and if I recall, I did take a long like this and it worked quite well. To here. The sweep in the gap works sometimes. Sweep in the gap. This breakout went 3R in favor. And we have, yeah, this breakout here, which we could try. We could try another inside retracement, the compound. We could try something like this. And that works. This one never fills. We're going for 18, which we get. And I actually did catch the short trading live. How? Like just sweep into gap. So those are the 3 setups that I will trade. Where do we go? So from this we had this one, I'm confused. We should have had 2. Right, here's our sweep into gap for a 6, and then our breakout was an 8. Need to do this every day. This one, I had a tighter stop when I traded it, but yeah, I got out something like this for +5. Did it. Now, I also caught this bottom. It looks different on this chart than the Bybit chart where I caught it, but it was something like along in here. No, it wasn't. Okay. Did catch this. How did I do it? Yeah, I used this large gap, and I think I did yeah, my stop was past this. I did something like this. This is the bottom. I didn't know that. Wait, let's back up. Not the bottom. I actually did catch this though. Okay, that one, I think I traded this and then I got stop break even or small loss. I tried this one. It's a sweep in the gap. This one didn't really expand enough to want to do the inside. And if we back up actually, it made sense to have a small little breakdown here. As soon as we take this low, we should take all of them. Just go to here. 2R. I think I will start trading 2R breakdowns. So I actually caught that. We expanded so much that I just closed up here. This ends up being kind of silly. Although it wasn't a 3.7, something like this. And then I didn't take this, which would have been quite a decent add-on here. Maybe an inside short would have worked there. I'm about to break though. Yeah, see how we're doing. 2878. This is flagging down a little bit, expected. Magic number is 104. Then I'm trading live. And with live trading, when I get the 5 minute, I actually get more precision where I can use tighter stops. But yeah, I need to be aware of possible breakdown. Okay, I'm gonna break. Much love, everybody. Peace.